Shalom, my name is Adam, and I welcome you to the parable of the vineyard. Every day, Yahuwah is waking up a remnant, a group of people who are coming out of deceptions, realizing our walk is to consist of faith and obedience to His righteous commands. Each week, we read through and examine a portion of the Torah, allowing the Spirit of the Most High to guide, teach, and open our eyes and ears to the wondrous matters out of His law. Join us as we seek to be refined by His Word, preparing ourselves for the return of our King of Kings, being faithful and obedient, walking in His way, truth, and life. Shalom and welcome back, brothers and sisters. Welcome to the Parable of the Vineyard Torah portion study. My name is Adam, your host, and I welcome you. This is week 18, Mishpatim, and this week is really a lot about what's typically translated as the judgments of Yahuwah. But we were talking about this quite a bit actually yesterday in our in local fellowship, and thanks to a brother that really kind of opened my eyes to this, is a better way to define them are right rulings, such as if this scenario happens, this is what the right ruling would be. If like it was a court of law, a right ruling, like this is how the situation needs to be handled. And if we were in a community of sorts, I would actually look at these and be like, hey, this is a really good way of running a little town, so really can appreciate the Father's commandments, all of them, of course, but really these, there's something to be said here. So let's get into it. Quick prayer. Heavenly Father, Yahuwah, we come before you in Yahusha's name, and we bless you and thank you. We thank you for your right rulings. We thank you for your Torah, all of it, to better understand you each week, each day as we study in your word. And we thank you for sending your word, Messiah Yahusha, that we may have life. And we thank you for opening our eyes to the goodness of your Torah in these last days. We bless you, and we pray you open our eyes and ears to seeing your word. Amen. Seeing and hearing, that is, of course. So let's get started with maybe a quick shofar, and we'll get started. If you weren't awake yet, you're awake now. So here we are in Exodus 21, and so this is going to be, Mishpatim is Exodus 21:1 through 24:18, and again, most of it is all about what they call the judgments, aka right rulings, and we have quite a bit to go over. But before we go into this week's Torah portion, I actually wanted to just kind of finish up from last week. I kind of ran out of time. I apologize about that. But there was a little section in chapter 20 of Exodus I wanted to read in the Targums, and I'm actually going to read just the, I'm just going to read the last the last 5 commandments, and there's something really interesting here in the Targums that I think really reveals quite a bit, and actually, it's kind of like the right rulings, kind of a cause and effect, and I think it'll really be interesting once we get to the last one, to the commandment of not coveting. But for each one, you'll see there's a consequence. And if you really look back at the history of Israel and how they broke the commandments and what came upon them, it really kind of brings this alive. So, my people, the sons of Yasharel, you shall not be murderers. You shall not be companions of or partakers with murderers in the congregations of Yasharel. There shall not be seen a murderous people, neither shall your sons rise up after you and teach one another to take part with murderers. For on account of the guilt of murder, the sword cometh forth upon the world. So this is the cause and effect for murder. It's going to get a little more interesting as we continue to go. My people, the house of Yasharel, be not adulterers, nor companions, nor partakers with adulterers, nor in the congregations of Yasharel shall there be seen an adulterous people, that your sons may not arise after you to teach one another to have part with adulterers. For through the guilt of adultery, death cometh forth upon the world. So earlier it was the sword, so this is like, army invading, coming upon your land. And we saw this quite a bit. There was blood on the hands, innocent blood on the hands of Israel, Yasharel, and that's why the invading armies came. But apparently, according to adultery, death, this is more like a famine or pestilence, comes upon the world. Sons of Yasharel, my people, you shall not be thieves, nor companions, nor partakers with thieves. There shall not be seen in the congregations of Yasharel a thievish people, that your sons may not arise after you to teach one another to have part with thieves. For on account of the guilt of the theft, famine cometh forth upon the world. So, according to the Targums, famine is the direct consequence of theft. Sons of Yasharel, my people, ye shall not testify against your neighbors a testimony of falsehood, nor be companions or partakers with those who bear false witness, nor shall there be seen in the congregations of Yasharel a people who testify a testimony of falsehood. Neither shall your sons arise after you to teach one another to have part with those who testify falsehood. For because of the guilt of false testimony, the clouds go up, and the rain cometh not down, and dryness cometh upon the world. So false testimony brings a drought. Sons of Yasharel, my people, ye shall not be covetous companions or partakers with the covetous, nor shall there be seen in the congregations of Yasharel a covetous people, that your sons may not arise after you to teach one another to have part with the covetous. Neither shall any among you covet the wife of his neighbor, nor his servant, nor his handmaid, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that belongeth to his neighbor. Because, now listen to this, this is actually really the whole reason I want to read this. Because through the guilt of covetousness, the government breaketh in upon the possessions of men to take them, and the wealthy are made poor, and slavery cometh upon the world. And so it is interesting that almost everything in mainstream media breeds covetousness. It's really, you can call that in modern day consumerism. Covetousness or consumerism is a byproduct of covetousness, and it's really such a plague in this world. And really, what's going on and what's really coming? For most of us know that the government breaketh in upon the possessions of men to take them, and the wealthy are made poor, and slavery cometh upon the world. So I thought that was really interesting, and I wanted to share that with you this week. So, okay, so let's get into it now. And so we're at Exodus 21:1, and we'll read through and read through and comment as led. And so let me just, I meant to mention this just in case you're stumbling across this. I would not consider myself a Torah teacher. I am so new to getting back to this that I'm really a student of the Torah, and I simply invite you to study along with me. This would be like if you were in my living room. I'd be reading this and sharing with you what pops out to me when I read these things. Just like yesterday at our local fellowship, it was really a reading of this, and we kind of just went around the room, and any comments and questions, and we kind of bounced ideas off each other. That's really how I'm operating this, but unfortunately with this platform, it's kind of just a one-way conversation. But anyways, just wanted to put that out there. So anything that might be new information to you, certainly take it to prayer. And not saying that everything that I would put forth would be right, although I'm striving for that. So just a little word of caution, I guess, or just to put that up front, just so you don't, whatever. Exodus 21:1. Now these are the judgments or right rulings which you shall set before them. If you obtain an Ivri, that's a Hebrew servant, 6 years he shall serve, and in the 7th he shall go out free for nothing. And this is, in our modern day language, servant brings about pretty much the same thought process as if someone were to say slave to you, you'd probably think of servant, slave. It's probably a very similar meaning in our modern day context, but a servant back then would be equal to employee right now. But back then they had a lot of live-in employees, and so they were like, yeah, they were like your live-in employees. That's just how it was. You had landowners and you had people without, and people without needed jobs. They needed to eat. They needed to feed families, and so they, they sold themselves into servitude, and that's how they lived. And it was a benefit. I mean, you look back at like Eleazar, Abraham's servant. He was delighted to be Abraham's servant, and because Abraham was a good employer. And if you look at how this country was built up, I know with people searching like Tartaria and mud flood stuff, it's like, okay, what was our history? I don't know. But, I tend to think some things are preserved. And if you look at how this country was built up, at least from the 1600s upward, most of the people that built up this country, it was built on what was called, search the term, indentured servitude. And really what it was is people didn't have enough money to even get on the boat to come out here. And so what they do is they'd sign a contract, and they either sign a contract with the boat owner or with a landowner that was coming out, or a wealthy person that was coming out. And these people it followed the biblical model. Most of them, at least, it was a 6-year contract, and then the 7th year they went out free. And typically they would get like a piece of land as kind of like their reward. So they worked for 6 years. They ate, they drank, they had shelter, they had warmth, and after that, then they get their own piece of land, and they'd be able to get their own family and homestead started. So it's not really a bad thing. I think people that would mock us for keeping the Torah or wanting to keep the Torah, it's just a lot of terminologies just don't make sense today. So when you just read this, oh yeah, you're gonna have a slave for 6 years, oh, have fun with that. I don't think that's really grasping the whole concept of what's going on here. So still a good thing. Even Yahusha said the poor is always going to be with you. There's always going to be people that there's always going to be haves and have-nots. And so because Yahuwah knows that, that's how he created this world, because he didn't create this world for everybody to have the exact same amount of money. That's just not how it is. So he has things in place to protect people and keep things rolling well. So anyways, I hope that makes sense. If he came in by himself, he shall go out by himself. If he were married, then his woman shall go out with him. If his master have given him a woman, and she have borne him sons or daughters, the woman and her children shall be her master's, and he shall go out by himself. And if the servant shall plainly say, I love my master, my woman, and my children, I will not go out free. Then his master shall bring him unto the judges, and he shall also bring him to the door, or unto the doorpost, and his master shall pierce his ear through with an awl, and he shall serve him forever. So, an earring. So, this is possibly the beginning of where earrings came from, showing, that kind of belonged to somebody, that you were in servitude, essentially. So, that is kind of interesting. But, all right, let's keep going. Exodus 21:7. Oh, by the way, and this is what an awl looks like. It's like right here. This is an awl. There's different. Yeah, there you go. That's an awl. So that's a old school way of piercing some ears, right? Yeah, let's see here. Give me a second. Okay. Exodus 21:7, and if a man surrenders his daughter to be a maidservant, she shall not go out as the men servants do. If she please not her master, who has betrothed her to himself, then shall he let her be redeemed. To surrender her unto a strange nation, he shall have no power, seeing he has dealt deceitfully with her. And if he have betrothed her unto his son, he shall deal with her after the manner of daughters. If he take him another woman, her food, her raiment, and her duty of marriage shall he not diminish. And if he do not these three unto her, then shall she go out free without money. He that smites a man so that he die shall be surely put to death. And if a man lie not in wait, so if he wasn't being sneaky and waiting for, being creepy and creeping around waiting to kill somebody, but Elohim deliver him into his hand, then I will appoint you a place where he shall flee. This is the places of refuge that we'll talk about later in the Torah. But if a man come presumptuously upon his neighbor to slay him with guile, you shall take him from my altar that he may die. And he that smites his father or his mother shall be surely put to death. And we talked about this quite a bit last week with the talking about the commandments, and especially talking about honoring your father and mother. And someone that would smite their father and mother, that's certainly not honoring them, and it's dishonoring them. And listen, I'm going to be honest with you. If we lived in a community where children knew this, I think those children would be on their best behavior. What do you think? And he that steals a man and sells him, or if he be found in his hand, he shall be surely put to death. Right? So put that in modern day context with that's a huge problem in this country, in this world actually, is trafficking, child trafficking, the other kind of trafficking. That would be this right here. And the penalty would be death. And I would stand behind this 100%. So again, I'm just thinking about it. If we had a community and someone was caught doing this, this would be the punishment. But even more so, the fear of this punishment would be in people's mind. Hopefully they'll be like, it's not worth it. Whatever money that I need and would get out of doing something like this, if I get caught, this is what the consequence would be. No way. Just like, it's not in this Torah portion, but just like that one that not everybody, people like to go to, where it says to stone your child if they're a glutton and a drunkard and they don't listen to you. I think the fact that that's a law, and if the children knew that law, that would keep most children from misbehaving. Right? That's where the fear of Yahuwah comes in. Do we fear his ways or not? And he that curses his father or his mother shall be surely put to death. Again, to keep children in line. I think a community that with children that knew this, it would run much more smoothly. And if men strive together, and one smite another with a stone or with his fist, and he die not, but keeps his bed, if he rise again, and walk abroad upon his staff, then shall he that smote him be innocent, only he shall pay for the loss of his time, and shall cause him to be thoroughly healed. And, while our modern day courts have some of their issues, this is still really employed to this day. I mean, if you look at lawsuits, if someone is at fault for causing someone else to lose, time at work and their health and their hospital bills, typically the judgment or the right ruling would be in favor of the person that got hurt, and so that the person that hurt them, they would have to pay for their lost time at work, for their healing, things like that. So that's a biblical precept that's still being employed at large. Of course, you've got other issues to talk about, but that's for another time. But in general, that's still being employed this day. Exodus 21:20, and if a man smite his servant or his maid with a rod, and he die under his hand, he shall be surely punished. Notwithstanding, if he continue a day or two, he shall not be punished, for he is his money. And obviously, a lot of people would have issues with this in a modern day context, but we can talk more about that another time. If men strive and hurt a woman with child, so that her fruit depart from her, and yet no mischief follow, he shall be surely punished, according as the woman's man will lay upon him, and he shall pay as the judges determine. And if any mischief follow, then you shall give life for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot, burning for burning, wound for wound, and stripe for stripe. And and we know that Yahusha quoted this and was like, you've heard that it was said, eye for eye, tooth for tooth. I think Messiah Yahusha was teaching us that, hey, you can even rise above this, because you have the right to sue a man at the law for an eye, and tooth for tooth. But I think he's just saying that, if someone smites your tooth out, or if following this mischief, of course, with the woman losing her child, and if any mischief follow that, then you have the right to be like, hey, you knocked out a tooth, your tooth is gone too. I think he was teaching us that, hey, you know what, let it happen and let Yahuwah deal with it, and just let it go. It's kind of the same thing. He's like, if someone sues you at law to have your coat, give him what else? He said give him something else also. I think you know what I'm talking about. So, and then he goes into like, if someone asks, give it to him. I just think he appreciates that kind of attitude, that knowing that Yahweh sees everything and Yahweh would take care of you in any situation. And if a man smite the eye of his servant or the eye of his maid that it perish, he shall let him go free for his eye's sake. And if he smite out his manservant's tooth or his maidservant's tooth, he shall let him go free for his tooth's sake. Or if an ox gore a man or a woman that they die, then the ox shall surely be stoned, and his flesh shall not be eaten, but the owner of the ox shall be innocent. But if the ox were to want to push with his horn in time past, and it has been testified to his owner, and he has not kept him in, but that he has killed a man or a woman, the ox shall be stoned, and his owner also shall be put to death. So, some of us are landowners out there right now and have livestock, and so this would 100% apply to you. But, even for some of us that aren't quite there yet, like, let's say, I've got 3 dogs, and what if one of them has had issues with biting in the past? And, let's say one of them had bit somebody before, and let's say I had a faulty fence or something, and my dog got out and bit somebody before, and, maybe I didn't get in trouble then, but let's say something was filed against me, and that dog went out again, and then it killed somebody. It's like, wouldn't I be guilty? Wouldn't I be guilty because I knew better, because I knew that dog had issues? So this is kind of what it's saying here with this ox. This ox was aggressive before and gored somebody before, but now this time it killed somebody, and you didn't do something about it. Well, now that's on you. So that's a big problem. And so, again, these are just things that happen in life, and Yahweh knows they'll happen. So it's like, he has some preset right rulings. So if this happens, this is how to make it right. If there be laid on him a sum of money, then he shall give the ransom for his life, whatsoever is laid upon him. Whether he have gored a son or have gored a daughter, according to this judgment or right ruling shall it be done unto him. If the ox shall push a manservant or a maidservant, he shall give unto their master 30 shekels of silver, and the ox shall be stoned. And if a man shall open a pit, or if a man shall dig a pit, and not cover it, and an ox or an ass fall therein, the owner of the pit shall make it good, and give money unto the owner of them, and the dead beast shall be his. And if the ox of one man hurts the ox of another that he die, then they shall sell the live ox, and divide the money of it, and the dead ox also they shall divide. So this is, these are just righteous rulings. So your animal goes over and kills the other. You sell the one that's alive, and you split the money. It's like, that's fair. Or if it be known that the ox used to push in time past, and its owner has not kept him in, that's what I was telling you. Like, if you've got a faulty fence, or if you let it out, and in this you got this really testy bull, maybe you ought to just keep it by itself, or not let it, go out and graze with the rest of the flock, or whatnot. So if the owner has not kept him in, he shall surely pay ox for ox, and the dead shall be his own. So again, this is where if it's happened before and you didn't take care of it, well, now the right ruling's a little differently. So again, just giving you different scenarios for different things that happen. Exodus 22. If a man shall steal an ox or a sheep and kill it or sell it, he shall restore 5 oxen for an ox and 4 sheep for a sheep. So again, cause and effect, or action and a way to make it right. So you steal, you get caught, you're going to have to pay 5 oxen for, 5 oxen for an ox and 4 sheep for a sheep. If a thief be found breaking up and be smitten that he die, there shall no blood be shed for him. And if the sun be risen upon him, there shall be blood shed for him, for he should make full restitution. If he have nothing, then he shall be sold for his theft. If the theft be certainly found in his hand alive, whether it be ox or ass or sheep, he shall restore double. So let's, I want us actually, the Targums really doesn't have much different this Torah portion, but this is the one section I actually do want to read. It has a little more clarity on actually what's going on here, and it really has to do with intent of the thief. If a thief be found in a window of the wall and be smitten and die, there shall not be on his account the guilt of the shedding of innocent blood. If the thing be as clear as the sun that he was not entering to destroy life, and one hath killed him, the guilt of the shedding of innocent blood is upon him. And if spared from his hand, restoring, he shall restore. So this is really the big difference here, because let's be honest, there's different kinds of thieves. It's like if saying all thieves are equal is kind of what this is. This is saying that all thieves are equally okay to kill if you find them trespassing in your house, and it's saying that that's not okay. And let me explain. It's like when I was in the military, we had what was called like a scale of deadly force. You had different threat levels, like different threat levels. Like someone coming at you, like wanting to punch you, is a different threat level than someone coming at you with a knife or with a gun. You would react differently to those situations. So what this is saying here is, if it's clear as the sun, which is what I have highlighted here, clear as the sun that he was not entering to destroy life, and one hath killed him, the guilt of the shedding of innocent blood is upon him. So there's a difference between someone that's really hungry and gonna come into your house and try to steal some food, rather than someone that's intent on coming in, slitting your throat and stealing all your goods or whatnot. So it's saying right here that if there was no intent of killing, you're not supposed to kill them. Certainly, if someone, even today, were to come into my house, even if he was hungry, and I found him in the middle of the night creeping around my house, I might take a baseball bat and take him down or something just to disable him. But whereas in a different scenario, if someone's like creeping in my house with a gun, or a knife, that's, you react to a little different story. And that's also, by the way, that is not what Yahushua was saying when he was saying, in my opinion, excuse me, I can't speak for him, but from what I understand about turn your other cheek, when he's saying turn your other cheek, when someone is accusing you or berating you or putting you down or suing you at the law or whatever it may be, you can turn the other cheek, right? I don't believe he's talking about someone that wants to come in and kill your whole family and be like, oh, here you go, do with them as you'd like, and then here's my cheek, kill me too. I don't think that's what he's saying. So anyways, that I don't mean to go off on that little tangent, but the Torah, I believe, here is saying that we have to assess different things, and I don't think we have the right. I wouldn't have the right to kill somebody if they came into my house and they just wanted to go through my pantry and grab something and leave. And I know that's it's a touchy subject, especially self-defense. Even in this Torah walk is really touchy for some people. And I don't really want to go that too far down that rabbit hole, but I'm just saying I believe what the Targums is saying here to be correct, that we'd have to assess it, and that if someone were to come in to my house and just want to go through my pantry and leave, if I were to shoot him in the head and kill him, I think I would be guilty, and I don't think that would be right. The intent, right? And that's what it's saying here. If the thing be as clear as the sun that he was not entering to destroy life. And again, just going back to military training, is that there was different threat levels, and so like we were taught this stuff. So like if someone came, if I was if I was guarding a post or something, and someone was coming at me with a fist of cuffs, and I shot him in the head, I would be court-martialed, and I would be in jail for the rest of my life. That's why they taught us that kind of stuff. Now, if somebody came at me with a gun or something else, or a knife or whatever, even a knife, they teach us non-lethal ways of taking the person down. Of course, because we're armed, we have a little advantage, and if they're coming at us with a knife, we had non-lethal ways of subduing the target. So I'm just saying there's different threat levels, and that's I'm really talking about this longer than I wanted to. So we'll keep going. 22:5. If a man shall cause a field or vineyard to be eaten, and shall put in his beast, and shall feed in another man's field, of the best of his own field and of the best of his own vineyard shall he make restitution. right? So you go let your animal go feed in someone else's yard, like go eat his stuff, and you get caught, right? You need to let his beasts. You need to have the best of your own field given back to him to make it right. If a fire break out and catch in thorns, so that the stacks of grain or the standing grain or the field be consumed therewith, he that kindled the fire shall surely make restitution. Totally makes sense, right? You start the fire, you pay for it. If a man shall deliver unto his neighbor money or stuff to guard, and it be stolen out of the man's house, if the thief be found, let him pay double. If the thief be not found, then the master of the house shall be brought unto the judges to see whether he have put his hand unto his neighbor's goods. So you have to be a witness. You'd have to testify, hey, I didn't take this stuff. For all manner of transgressions, whether it be of ox or ass or for sheep or for raiment or for any manner of lost thing which another challenges to be his, the cause of both parties shall come before the judges, and whom the judges shall condemn, he shall pay double unto his neighbor. If a man deliver unto his neighbor an ass or an ox or a sheep or any beast to guard, and it die or be hurt or driven away, no man seeing it, then shall an oath of Yahuwah be between them both, that he has not put his hand unto his neighbor's goods, and the owner of it shall accept thereof, and he shall not make it good. And if it be stolen from him, he shall make restitution unto the owner thereof. If he be torn in pieces, then let him bring it for a witness, and he shall not make good that which was torn. If a man, so again, if you have livestock, this totally applies to you now. Now this is kind of a catch-all, and if a man borrow aught of his neighbor, and it be hurt or die, the owner thereof being not with it, he shall surely make it good. So, example, you borrow your neighbor's lawnmower, and it's old, it's rickety old, right? But you borrow it, and you're mowing the lawn, and it breaks in your possession, make it good. Right? Even if your neighbor's like, it's fine, it's old, it was rusty, it was going out anyways, or likewise, a car, someone lets you borrow their car and it breaks down in your possession, the Torah is saying you make it good. Even if they're like, I'll let you, no, it's not a big deal. It was so old and it's not your fault, and Torah says make it good. Yahuwah sees these things. But if the owner thereof be with it, he shall not make it good. If it be a hired thing, it came for his hire. So if the owner be with it, so like, same scenario, same scenario but a little bit different. You're in your neighbor's car and you're driving. He's with you. It's saying you shall not make it good. But if you're driving his car and he's not with you, you make it good. Because it takes a lot of the unknowns out. Because it's like he doesn't know. What if you were like racing it around and you broke the engine? Or the same thing with the lawnmower, you're being reckless with it and you broke it, or he's there with the lawnmower with you and he sees you're just doing it normally and it just dies. It's like, he's like, okay, obviously you didn't do anything to break it, but if he's not there, it's a gray area. He doesn't know. And so that's why Yahweh was like, no, make it good. Exodus 22:16. And if a man entice a maid that is not betrothed and lie with her, he shall surely endow her to be his woman. So this is, in modern day, this is saying that it's like, your casual, whatever. People get together and they have intercourse. I was saying get married, right? Endow her to be your woman. And yeah, I think a lot of us have transgressed this, right? I can't say all of us. I've actually met quite a few of you out there that high school sweethearts and been with the same person all your life. That's great. I'm glad to meet that there's more people out there that actually did it right. So praise Yah for that. That's awesome. If her father utterly refused to give her unto him, he shall pay money according to the dowry of virgins. You shall not suffer a witch to live. And obviously this is something that has been thrown in my face for Torah keeping. It's like, it's like, oh, you want to keep Torah, right? Okay, so why aren't you going around and stoning witches and killing witches? And we have to realize, this is living in the land. This is living in under the rule and authority of Yahweh's land, which we're not. We're in dispersion. We're in whatever you want to call it. Egypt, Babylon, doesn't matter. Look at Daniel in Babylon. You don't think there was magicians and witches all over him? We didn't see Daniel going around like, stoning or stabbing every witch out there. Obviously, that's not the time and the place for it. But certainly let's put ourselves in a community of people, 100 people, 1,000 people, 10,000 people, whatever, and people knew that this law existed. Do you think anybody would want to be like, I wonder if it'd be a good idea to like do witch stuff? They'd probably be like, I don't know, because if someone found out and I'd die. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I mean, that I think it's as simple as that. It should put the fear in people to not want to go down that road. Whosoever lies with the beast shall be surely put to death. He that sacrifices, and that's pretty, yeah. He that sacrifices unto any Elohim, save unto Yahuwah only, he shall be utterly destroyed. You shall neither vex a stranger nor oppress him, for ye were strangers in the land of Mitzrayim, right? And this is just part of being neighborly to everybody, regardless of if they're of our same nation, same skin color, ethnicity, whatever. Yahusha says to leave and love our enemies, right? So how dare us oppress a stranger? You shall not afflict any widow or fatherless child. No, in fact, we're supposed to do the opposite. We're supposed to take care. That's a Torah commandment elsewhere. It's to take care of the widow, take care of the orphan. If you afflict them in any wise, and they cry at all unto me, I will surely hear their cry. And my wrath shall wax hot, and I will kill you with the sword, and your women shall be widows, and your children fatherless. See, Yahuwah takes vengeance. If you lend money to any of my people that is poor by you, you shall not be to him as an usurer, neither shall you lay upon him usury. And this is interest, right? So it's like, yeah, I'll lend you $1,000, but you're gonna have to pay me back $1,200, and you can pay it, monthly. You can borrow $1,000, and you can pay me back $1,000, and you can take 10 months and pay me back $100 a month. That's what you can do. Or you can just give people money. You can do alms, right? Which probably would be, probably even be more righteous in Yahweh's eyes. Okay. Let's see. Hold on. Actually, yeah, there's one passage in 2 Esdras I wanted to read about the orphan and the widow. 2 Esdras 2:20-23. Guard the rights of the widow, secure justice for the fatherless, give to the needy, right? So that's what I was just saying. Instead of letting him borrow, how about you just give to him? Defend the orphan, clothe the naked, care for the injured and weak. Do not ridicule a lame man. Protect the maimed, and let the blind man have a vision of my splendor. Protect the old and the young within your walls, and when you find any who are dead, commit them to the grave and mark it, and I will give you the first place in my resurrection. So Yahuwah obviously has a soft spot for the widow, the orphan, the lowly of our people, the lowly of the nation, our world. And it's our job. Remember when Yahusha separates the sheep from the goats, and he looks at the sheep on his right hand, and you're like, when I was naked, you clothed me. When I was sick, you came and visited me. In prison, you visited me. I was hungry and you fed me. And they're like, Adonai, when did we do these things to you? And he's like, well, when you did it to the least of these, you did it unto me. So, something to think about. Sorry, I got itches. And then as far as lending. Yeah, as far as lending. So, if you lend any money to my people, neither be a usurer. I think Messiah Yahusha here in Matthew 5 says, give to him that asks of you, and to him that would borrow of you, turn not away. You have heard that it has been said, you shall love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I say unto you, love your enemies, bless them that curse you, do good to them that hate you, and pray for them which despitefully use you and persecute you, that you may be the children of your Father which is in heaven. For he maketh his sun to rise on the evil and on the good, and sendeth rain on the just and on the unjust. For if you love them which love you, what reward have you? Do not even the publicans the same? And if you salute your brethren only, what do you more than others? Do not even publicans so? Be therefore perfect, even as your Father which is in heaven is perfect. Hallelujah. If you take at all your neighbor's raiment to pledge, you shall deliver it unto him by that the sun goes down. And we're going to talk more about this. This is actually a lot clearer. I think it's in Deuteronomy. It says you have to pay them the same day before the sun goes down. So I know there's quite a few verses in the New Testament that makes it allude to the morning being the start of the day. But I think if you take an honest look at the Torah, I think the Torah is our foundation. I think you'll find in many places that the Torah is very specific, that the day ends at evening and the next day starts at nighttime. For that his covering only, it is his raiment for his skin, wherein shall he sleep? And it shall come to pass, when he cries unto me, that I will hear, for I am gracious. You shall not revile the Elohim, nor curse the ruler of your people. And this was interesting, right? There's actually a verse that I wanted to pull up here. Ecclesiasticus 21:27, when the ungodly curseth Satan, he curseth his own soul. I don't know that it's a good idea for us to curse Satan. I don't think it's what we're supposed to be doing. Jude 1:9, yet Michael the archangel, when contending with the devil, he disputed about the body of Moshe. He durst not bring against him a railing accusation, but said, Yahuwah rebuke you. So I don't know that it's a good idea for us to going around cursing Satan and calling him this and calling him that. I don't know. It's a good idea, right? And we actually went into a really cool long rabbit trail yesterday at the Sabbath gathering. But long story short, there's we talked about this at the end of last year's Torah portion cycle. If you're with us when the Torah portion with Deuteronomy 32, which is the other song of Moshe. But it says in there that when the nations were divided, they were divided according to the sons of Israel, which is not correct. The Septuagint actually corrects that. It says according to the nations were divided according to the sons of Elohim. You've got 70 Elohim, like angel, certain class of angel that is rulers. They're like princes over nations. They're the 70 I think it's in the Targums, I think, and maybe even Jasher. It says when the angel of Yahuwah came down, he came down with 70 of the angels, and it's the 70 nations that were dispersed from the Tower of Babel, 70 different tongues. And we see that come alive in Daniel when Gabriel is coming to Daniel, and Gabriel's like, I tried to come to you sooner, but the prince of Persia withstood me for 21 days, and then he got some help. And so you think to yourself, the prince of Persia, that's not the mortal man in Persia that's ruling. This is the one of the 70 Elohim angels that was withstanding Gabriel. So anyways, so we are not to revile them, right? At this point, like in the Psalm, it says, you made him a little lower than the angels. We are made right now at this point, we are lower than the angels. We don't need to be cursing any of them. I don't think we need to be speaking against them. Even Satan, I don't think we certainly, we resist the devil. We can rebuke the devil, like when what just said there in Jude 1:9. Rebuke the devil, and you saw Yahusha. He rebuked the devil and he fled from someone. But to sit there and like curse and like talk trash and like, oh yeah, devil, this and this and this, you're that. I don't think that's a really good position to be in, quite frankly. And I think it's putting yourself in a position that you probably shouldn't want to be. You shouldn't be in nor want to be in. I mean, think about it. He's the prosecutor up in heaven. You want to go around bad-mouthing the prosecutor, go ahead, but I wouldn't recommend it. I'm not sitting here covering for him like, oh, he's a good guy or anything. That's not what I'm saying. But to go around and cursing them, I don't think is a very smart decision. I think that's kind of what this is kind of alluding to. So you shall not delay to offer the first ripe of your fruits, and of your liquors, the firstborn of your sons, you shall give unto me. And we're going to talk a little bit more about this when we get into Numbers. I think it's Numbers 19. Something I've been thinking a little bit more about, but we'll get to that when we get to it in Numbers. Likewise, shall you do with your oxen and with your sheep. 7 days it shall be with his dam, and on the 8th day you shall give it to me. And for those of you that have livestock, this is something to consider. If you're raising your livestock in a Torah observance, this is something to certainly consider. And ye shall be holy men unto me, neither shall ye eat any flesh that is torn of beasts in the field. Ye shall cast it to the dogs. All right, so chapter 23. And actually, is it Numbers? Yeah. Okay. Numbers 18, not 19. Actually, just read it real quick for you. And those that are to be redeemed from a month old, thou shalt redeem according to thine estimation for the money of 5 shekels after the shekel of the sanctuary, which is 20 gerahs. And so I heard this from a brother recently at a gathering we had about a month ago, is that he wanted to follow the Torah, even though we don't have, a temple or priesthood, active priesthood at this time. He's like, just took some money that I would maybe equate to shekels and gave it somewhere, I think it's better than nothing, and it's something I'm considering doing as well. I haven't done this yet, but something I'm considering doing, because it's like, and you go through this, it might seem silly, like, oh, I don't, there's no temple, there's no Levitical priesthood to give this to. I agree, but there's people that are acting like what the Levites did, which is to guide people in the way and things like that. So I think there's someone that I can give it to, or you can maybe sow it that's somewhere where it's fruitful, someone that's in need or something, and he can just let Yahuwah know that was what that money was for. I don't know, just something to consider. I don't know where you're at in your walk. Where I'm at currently is I want to look at the Torah and be obedient in any way I can, even if it seems silly or frivolous or, whatever it may seem like. I don't know. I just think he deserves every ounce of effort from us, and something like this, so something to take to prayer for sure. And that's obviously, if it's a new concept, you probably should take some time to think about that one. So chapter 23, you shall not raise a false report. Put not your hand with the wicked to be an unrighteous witness. You shall not follow a multitude to do evil, neither shall you speak in a cause to decline after many to pervert judgment. So think about this. You shall not follow a multitude to do evil, right? Think about like modern day like riots and protests and whatnot. It's one of the reasons why I don't think I'd ever join one of those, is because, you could say, hey, well, Adam, what about a peaceful protest? Yeah, sure. Okay. Maybe so. But it's certainly why none of us should ever participate in a riot. And I always think, obviously, that's pretty obvious for obvious reasons. I don't think anybody, one of you that would be listening to this video would be like, I wonder if I should go to the next riot. Obviously not, but sometimes we have to talk about the obvious. So, neither shall you countenance a poor man in his cause. And this is something I think it's a little bit, this is something that, we'll talk a little bit more. Actually, I think we'll get back to this here at this point in a second about the poor man and his cause. If you meet your enemy's ox or his ass going astray, you shall surely bring it back again to him. So if you see the ass of him that hates you lying under his burden and you would forbear to help him, you shall surely help with him. So this is something we have to really think about, and it's a lot. I think you can really expound this out into just more than just animals. If someone that hates you, and you can, there's an opportunity to do good to him, I think you should take it. Like we were talking about yesterday in the fellowship, is like if you're at work, right, and somebody messes up, and even if this person that messes up hates you, but you can cover for them and save their and they, imagine if they see that and they're like, why would you do that for me? I hate you. You can just be like, well, you can even just be honest, be like, well, I follow the Torah of the Most High, and that's kind of what it tells me to do. You don't think that would do something to them? You don't think they'll like go for a whirlwind and be like, what? They'd be lying in bed at night and 3 a.m. and be like, why did he do that? What's this Torah? Who's this Messiah? I don't know. Just thinking about it. But, at face value, you live out in the country and you see your neighbor's donkey get out or the goat that gets out, which is probably more likely to happen. Help him out. It's the right thing to do. That's what the Torah says. It's the right thing to do. It's like, and those of you that live not quite in the rural area yet, like myself, your neighbor's dog gets out. Help it. You don't open the blinds and be like, oh, no, that's so-and-so's dog. I ain't helping them. Mm-mm. No. Help them. Especially if they're your enemy. Not especially. It doesn't matter. They can be your favorite neighbor or your least favorite neighbor. You help them, period. You see stray dogs running down the street, bring them in your house. Take care of them until, you can get them back to their owners. Do the right thing. You never know who you can touch. You never know. And, this is a great way to do what Messiah Yahushua says. He says, we're the light of the world. Let your light so shine before men that others may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven. Very simple. You shall not pervert the judgment of your poor in his cause. Right? You keep far from a false matter, and the innocent and the righteous slay not, for I will not justify the wicked. And you shall take no gift, for the gift blinds the wise and perverts the words of the righteous. And you shall also not oppress a stranger, for you know that you know the heart of a stranger, seeing you were strangers in the land of Mitzrayim. So think about this. It's like you have to judge righteously in every case. And, this is really more for the judges, and this is not for the average person. But, if any of you ever get in a point where you have to judge matter between brother and brother or sister and sister or household and household, it doesn't matter if one is poor, if one is rich. So it's like you can't be like play Robin Hood, where it's like you've got a rich man versus a poor man. And let's say the rich man is right. You can't be like, well, the poor guy is really poor. He could really use the ruling in his favor. No, you can't do that. You cannot do that. It doesn't matter. You could have Bill Gates versus Mr. Poor Guy, and if Bill Gates is right in the case, in that specific case, not his overall character, but that specific case, and you're judging it, you have to judge in favor of who is right. And you can't this is also saying you can't take bribes, right? You can't take a gift, for the gift blinds the wise and perverts the words of the righteous. Can't do it. In 6 years you shall sow your land and shall gather in the fruits thereof, but the 7th year you shall let it rest and lie still, that the poor of your people may eat, and what they leave the beasts of the field shall eat. In like manner you shall deal with your vineyard and with your olive yard. I think this is a great idea. Once we get some a steady gardening system going on, I think I'd like to employ this. I think Yahuwah would meet that and be like, you want to keep this part of Torah, huh? Who knows? What if he gives you triple the harvest you would get in those 6 years because he knows you're going to rest it on the 7th year? Who knows? 6 days you shall do your work, and on the 7th day you shall rest, that your ox and your ass may rest, and that the son of your handmaid and the stranger may be refreshed. And in all things that I have said unto you, be guarded, and make no mention of the name of the other Elohim, neither let it be heard out of your mouth. That's like what recently I've been talking about the wandering stars, aka planets. I haven't been wanting to mention their names because those are the names of like the Greek lowercase g gods. 3 times you shall keep a feast unto me in the year. You shall guard the feast of matzah, unleavened bread. You shall eat matzah, unleavened bread, 7 days, as I commanded you, in the time appointed in the month Abib. For in it you came out from Mitzrayim, and none shall appear before me empty. And the feast of Katzir, harvest, the first fruits of your labors which you have sown in the field, and the feast of Asif, the ingathering, which is at the end of the year, when you have gathered in your labors out of the field. 3 times in the year all your males shall appear before Adonai Yahuwah. You shall not offer the blood of my sacrifice with chametz, leavened bread, neither shall the fat of my sacrifice remain until the morning. The first of the firstfruits of your land you shall bring into the house of Yahuwah Elohika. You shall not seethe a kid in his mother's milk. Now, a Jewish tradition has become that you can't have meat with milk with a dairy product on it. So, like cheeseburger would be out, for example, or like if you had a taco, you can't have the ground beef with with cheese on top of it, or even sour cream. I don't know that I agree with that. I will say the Targum this week. The Targum says that, and that brings up a point. For those of you that are also studying the Targums on your own, there are some insertions in there that I just don't agree with. I think the book 98-99% I think is on and is amazing, but you can tell in some parts there was some parts added to it. I think that's where we have to be Bereans and realize that really not any book that we read is perfect. I mean, you all know that I love the Sefer. It's my favorite book, but it's not perfect. There's some things I read in there I'm like, I don't agree. And I love Dr. Pigeon, and he knows. I'm not speaking ill about him. There's some things that he knows I disagree with, like the use of expanse instead of firmament, little things like that. But we're all going to disagree a little bit. It's okay. That's okay. But in no way, shape, or form, just because he puts expanse instead of firmament, am I going to toss out probably my favorite book? No. Just because there's a few things in the Targums that I don't agree with, would I toss it out? No. I think it's a wealth of information. Same thing with the Septuagint. The Septuagint, I think, gets the ages wrong in the timeline for Shem, which some people totally throw out the notion of Shem being Melchizedek, which it's in like three different witnesses that Shem was Melchizedek, the one that ministered to Abraham back in the day. But because I think the Septuagint gets it wrong, doesn't mean I'm going to toss out the entire Septuagint because of that. So we just have to be Bereans and test all things. So Exodus 23:20, behold, I send an angel before you to guard you in the way and bring you into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him and obey his voice. Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions. For my name is in him. Remember Messiah Yahusha. He's like, I come in my Father's name. And actually, I want to do a quick screen share. I want to share a post I did with you. I did just a little while ago. Hang on. Give me just a moment. And it's just a... Hang on just a second. A couple of verses here that I want to share. And for those of you that have already watched it, it's a video called The Angel of Yahuwah. I would highly recommend it. I think it would explain a lot more in detail. So, behold, I send an angel before you to guard you in the way and to bring you into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him and obey his voice, right? Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. This is not some regular angel. That's what we just read. So remember, it says, my name is in him. In Messiah Yahusha, John 5:43, I come in my Father's name, right? His name is in him. So listen to this. What angel led them out of Egypt into the wilderness and eventually into the land? So what angel is this talking about right here? And what's interesting is Jude knew exactly what angel that was. Jude 1:5, I will therefore put you in remembrance, though you once knew this, how that the Adonai, the Greek word here is Iesus, it's Messiah, having saved the people out of the land of Egypt, afterward destroyed them that believed not. And you can see it here in the interlinear. Remind you now, I want, having known at one time all this, that Iesus, right? He brought them out of the land of Egypt. So Iesus, which was transliterated from Yahusha to Iesus, Iesus to this one. And so anyways, long story short, Yahusha is that angel, and he's not just some angel, he is the angel of Yahuwah. And if you need a little help with that, if that's alarming to you, like, oh, why would Messiah be called an angel? Let's take a look at Revelation 10:1-2. And here I saw another mighty angel come down from heaven, clothed with a cloud. A rainbow was upon his head, and his face was as it were the sun, and his feet as the pillars of fire. And he had in his hand a little sefer, a little book open, and he set his right foot upon the sea and his left foot upon the earth. And so, here we see he's covered with the cloud, rainbow upon his head, face as the sun, feet pillars of fire. This is all descriptions of Messiah. And then, of course, you've got the little book that was opened that only the Lamb of Elohim was able to unseal the book and open up. And so this angel, so even Revelation calls him an angel. And then one more verse, just wanted to show you. The angel of Yahuwah encamps around them that fear him and delivers them. So what angel requires fear of them? only the angel of Yahuwah, who is the pre-existent Messiah Yahusha, who was with the Father from the beginning, forever and ever. So, praise Yah. That's this angel, right? So, behold, I sent an angel before you to guard you in the way, to bring you in the place. That's, in my understanding at this point, that's Messiah Yahusha. And if you want to learn a little more of why I've arrived at that conclusion, watch that video. It's called Identity, the Angel of Yahuwah. You shall not bow down to their Elohim, So my angel shall go before you and bring you into the land of the Amorim, the Chittim, and the Perizim, and the Kenanim, and the Chivim, and the Yebusim, and I will cut them off. And you shall not bow down to their Elohim, nor serve them, nor do after their works, but you shall utterly overthrow them, and quite break down their images. And ye shall serve Yahweh Elohim, and he shall bless your bread and your water, and I will take sickness away from the midst of you. There shall nothing cast their young, nor be barren in your land. The number of your days I will fulfill. I will send my fear before you, and will destroy all the people to whom you shall come, and I will make all your enemies turn their backs on you. And I will send the hornets before you, which shall drive out the Chivai, and the Kenani, and the Chiti, and from before you. And I will not drive them out from before you in 1 year, lest the land become desolate, and the beasts of the field multiply against you. By little and little I will drive them out from before you, until you be increased, and inherit the land. And I will set your bounds from the Red Sea even unto the sea of the Pelishtim, and from the desert unto the river. For I will deliver the inhabitants of the land into your hand, and you shall drive them out before you. You shall cut no covenant with them, nor with their Elohim. They shall not dwell in your land, lest they make you sin against me. For if you serve their Elohim, it will surely be a snare unto you. Exodus 24. So we just got till verse 8, and we're going to finish up today. And he said unto Moshe, Come up unto El Yahuwah, you, and Aharon, and Nadab, and Abihu, and the 70 elders of Yisrael, and worship ye afar off. And you can see here, everything that Yahweh showed Moshe was a pattern of what's above in the heavens, the tabernacle, the altar, everything, including the 70 elders, right? The 70 judges, if you will. And so we're talking about the 70 judges, the angels that are over territories. You have the 70 elders of Yisrael. And Moshe alone shall come near El Yahuwah, but they shall not come nigh, neither shall the people go up with him. And Moshe came and told the people all the words of Yahuwah and all the judgments, and all the people answered with one voice and said, All the words which Yahuwah has said we will do. And Moshe wrote all the words of Yahuwah, and rose up early in the morning, and built an altar under the hill, and 12 pillars according to the 12 tribes of Yisrael. And he sent the young men of the children of Yisrael, which offered burnt offerings, and sacrificed peace offerings of oxen unto Yahuwah. And Moshe took half of the blood, and put it in basins, and half of the blood he sprinkled on the altar. And he took the Sefer, the book of the covenant, and read into the audience of the people, and they said, All that Yahuwah has said we will do and be obedient. And Moshe took the blood, and sprinkled it on the people, and said, Behold, the blood of the covenant, which Yahuwah has cut with you concerning all these words. And we're actually going to talk more about this next week, about the covenant, the blood, a meal, very similar with what Yahusha did in the Last Supper, and then his eventual going to the cross, the stake, the pole, tree, whatever you want to call it, when he offered up his blood for us and offered up himself for us as that perfect, spotless lamb, and bringing us into the renewed covenant. So with that, brothers and sisters, I pray this was a blessing for you. If you're wondering why this wasn't on a live stream, out of nowhere, some of you may have seen this last week, or last week on Shabbat, we had technical issues and I could not stream, and I was testing the stream this afternoon. I was going to stream this afternoon, but still, I have issues, and it's not my internet. Computer's running fine. The streaming software seems to be running fine. It's just not working for whatever reason. So I don't know if the enemy is attacking, or I don't know. So I'm just going to have to continue to work on this, but until I can get it fixed, I'm just going to have to pre-record these and upload these as a premiere. So trust me, I want to live stream. I prefer doing it that way. I like doing this live with you all. It makes it a little more real. when we're doing this live. And I know a lot of people watch these more. I think more people watch these as a recording anyways, but I really like doing these lives. So I'm really going to try to fix these, and I hope it's not just YouTube messing with me. If it is, so then I think we knew this day was coming, but otherwise maybe there's something that I just haven't been able to fix yet. But either way, that's, if you're wondering why this is a video and not a live stream, that's why I'm working on it. So if I don't get it fixed, I might have to do the same thing for our studies coming up this week as well. So with that being said, quick prayer, and we'll finish up this live stream. So this recording. So give me just a moment, and let's pray. Heavenly Father, Yahuwah Most High, we come before you in Yahusha's name, and we thank you for allowing us to study your word. We pray that you continue to open our eyes and ears, that we may understand your word better and be more obedient and be ready and waiting as Messiah Yahusha comes in his return. We bless you and thank you for opening our eyes and for pulling us out of the world. In Yahusha's name, we bless you and thank you for all that you do and provide for us. Amen and amen. Yevarechecha Yahuwah ve'yishmerecha Ya'er Yahuwah panav elecha v'chuneka Yisa Yahuwah panav elecha ve'yasem lecha shalom. Yahuwah bless you and keep you. Yahuwah make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. Yahuwah lift up his countenance upon you and give you shalom, give you peace. So blessings, brothers and sisters, in Yahusha's name, and we'll see you shortly. Everywhere I look, they're filled with fear, covered faces, and all those needle cheers. They all are blind, they cannot see. It's not about health, but controlling you and if only they knew. You're all I need. You're all I need. You're all I need. You're all I need. Everywhere I look, they're filled with fear, covered faces, and all those needle cheers. They all are blind, they cannot see. It's not about health, but controlling you and if only